Coach, obviously getting ready to start a Big West season on Friday, and you get Cal State Fullerton, another team that's one of these teams that's you probably heard, you knew about when you got the job here and coming to play the Big West Conference. Let's start there. Thoughts on just opening up the conference, thoughts on playing a Cal State Fullerton team, which from what I gather is they're struggling a little bit. I think they're at 4-8. Thoughts on just getting ready to open the season and play an opponent like Cal State Fullerton?
I mean, I think at this point, if you're judging teams based on their record, you're probably not doing a deep enough dive. They haven't played anything close to a bad team yet. Just played UCLA on the midweek, and their non-conference opponents have all been really, really strong. So I expect them to show up ready, and I expect them to show up expecting to win. So that's the biggest thing for us is we need to do the same. They've got some returning starting pitchers, three-year starting arm on Fridays that they've been throwing the same guy that gives them a chance every time. I know they'll take care of the baseball on defense, and it seems like the offense has gotten going a little bit. They put up a bunch of runs on Xavier on Sunday. Xavier's been a top 50 or 60 RPI team a few years in a row, so they'll give us everything we want. We're gonna need to play well, which is always the story.
And I remember last year when you came here, that was one of the many things you talked about, the fact you're looking forward to playing in a conference such as the Big West Conference, and one that has a lot of good teams, has a lot of great history, has teams that obviously been to Omaha, a lot of accolades and whatnot. What does it mean to you to now, as you're in your second year in the Big West Conference, has it lived up already to what you thought it would be and what you're looking forward to this season conference?
Yeah, it's tough. I think it's tough not just that there's some really, really good teams. The part that makes our league tough is that there's not really any easy weeks. And you can go lose every weekend to anybody because everybody can play, and that's what makes the process of getting it, getting the program where we want and where we expect to is you just there's no weekends or no weeks where you just show up and you just go 3-1 because you're that much better than everybody else, right? It's hard. You have to go play good, and that starts with having the right pieces, and I think we're close to that, and then it just starts with playing your B or better game every time, right? In baseball, you don't go play an A game that often, right? And when you do, you win. But that's probably single-digit times every year, right? It's just making sure you play your kind of B+ game all the time, and that's usually good enough to give you a chance. And you got to go make the plays to win the game in the few key spots that come along. So that's the biggest thing for me that I've I'll say expected, but you don't ever really know until you see it. Is just you have to play good all the time if you want to win. You can never play bad and get out of there with a win.
How differently, I mean, there's a lot of differences. Obviously, you've had a chance to recruit, a chance to maybe look at the schedule and try to prepare yourself for conference and things like that with different teams. What have you enjoyed most about getting in the second season going to put yourself in the right pathway of what you want to do?
I think we're a lot better prepared from a personnel standpoint. That's the first thing. I don't have a bad word to say about the guys a year ago, and I thought they played their tails off for us, and we just there were some areas we just didn't have enough, and I think there's a lot more areas where we do have enough now. If you look at what we're doing offensively, we're near the top of the league in about everything, and I'm excited to see our guys continue to take some steps in terms of just showing up and playing the game that they're capable of playing and not giving any away. I mean, if you look at what we've done so far, we've beat some really good teams. We've lost to some really good teams. I don't think we've played a team that's under 500 yet. Maybe one single game. But and on the weekends, I think we're 4-4 on the weekends. We've lost our midweek games. So the depth of the pitching needs to perform better for us. That's for certain, and we've done that while on the road 2 out of 3 weekends. So certainly excited to get back home, and if you want to look at, some of the other stuff is just the crowds that we've been able to get at home and all those pieces that, I know I'm a baseball coach, but we care about that stuff, and I spend time on that stuff, and I think the whole atmosphere at all the home games has been totally different, and that's exciting too.
Yeah. I know it's a small sample size, but yeah, the fact that you get to open conference at home and various, and again, it's a quality opponent like Fullerton. Any baseball enthusiast, any purist, whatever, probably will like coming to this game, and then obviously trying to attract even more of the student body and everything else. What are your thoughts on just the atmosphere you're hoping to have this weekend?
Yeah, you go play at some places across the country, right? And there's a real advantage for the home team, right? There's people there that are in your corner, right? You create an atmosphere that's difficult for the road team to perform in, and that's what we need to keep working to do here. Not just getting bodies there, but getting them doing the right stuff that can give us a little bit of an edge in some key spots, right? And it's hard. It's hard because we got to do the things that are necessary and that it takes to get people there, right? And find a way to attract them to come. And then it's quite frankly, it's my job and the team's job to make sure they want to come back. So we need to play competitive baseball. We need to do some good things that make them want to do that.
I know we were talking a day after you guys were just up at Cal to play one of your midweek game. What did you see last night that you hope to see some momentum carry on in some ways to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
I'd already actually forgotten about last night, so I appreciate you bringing it back up. No, last night is something that we've done a few times this year that we can't do. If you go look at that game, right, like we didn't score a bunch early, but then we go get what I think it's 4, in the middle of the game. Like we did plenty on offense to be in the game there, and we just gave up 1 million hits and made a key defensive miscue that would have ended an inning that didn't, instead turned into a big inning. So that's kind of the story, I think, of if you look at our whole year. We've scored enough to be competitive in nearly every game, right? We need to not give up so many runs, and we need to not give us so many runs early where we can just play and do our thing and give our offense a chance to do what they're capable of and go put runs on the board throughout the game. And if you look up at the end, like I said a minute ago, like we've scored enough runs to be in nearly every game. But when you give up double digits, it's just very hard to go score that many.
Yeah. What are some areas on offense that you've been really impressed with consistently so far this season?
Yeah. I think consistently would be the key word there. We've controlled our at bats and taken the right swings in the right situations for the most part throughout the season. I think that the batter's box piece has been really consistent. We haven't run the bags as well lately since opening weekend or opening week, and part of that's just the opportunities you get, that the other team gives you. But as a couple times we've been down, I feel like we've tried to go create some plays that weren't there on the bases that have turned into outs, and we need to not do that. We need to just take the ones that are there. Obviously, we got a bunch more power. We got a bunch more guys that are capable of changing the game with one swing, and that's important in college baseball today. Being able to change the scoreboard with one swing, whether it's a homer or a double, or just consistently hitting the baseball hard enough to do some damage. If anybody has access, you go dive into some of the exit velocity stuff that we're doing and whatnot. It's totally different from a year ago and from prior years. I don't know what we hit last year, 22 homers or something like that, 24. I think we have 16 right now. I think 16 surpasses some of their team totals from before then. So we're doing some good things there, and that's not really intent. That's just the personnel and having more guys that have enough physicality to hit the ball hard enough to get it over the fence, and we've done a good job with that.
Yeah, some of those are your guys who were here last year too, so you're getting more comfortable in terms of maybe what you're helping have them work on as well.
Yeah, like you look at Cloyd. We made a really concerted effort with him over the fall, really going into the summer too, to try to get him a chance to pull a baseball in the air a little bit, because he's always a guy that's hit it plenty hard. He just couldn't hit it at the flights into the right part of the field that would produce home runs. And he's able to do that now, and I think he's got 3. And against St. Mary's, they pulled the one, they robbed him from one, and then he hit one, that would have ended the game that the kid caught with his back touching the fence in left center. So he's certainly going to be a consistent threat there, and Elgin Bennett's becoming more consistent, and to be honest, some of the new guys are where we need to get some more from in that regard in our offense, and if we can get them, really rolling, I think that'll set us up even more.
Yeah. I want to go to the pitching. Obviously, you have your 3 guys that you throw on a weekend. You're going to get King for the Friday's game?
Yeah. Well, you'll see the same 3 guys. Ryan threw the ball really well twice. Was dominant the first 2 outings, and then we made a huge defensive miscue at Tech. I mean, we're in that game on Friday, and I think it's the 3rd, and we go misplay a ball in the outfield that turns an inning that's nothing into a huge inning, and you can't do that against them in that environment. I mean, I think that they, as of yesterday, were hitting the ball the hardest of anybody in the country, and that park is super, super offensive. It's elevation and wind and everything that you need to create offense, and we got to make plays. I think the defense early was a problem, and the defense lately has been good, especially on the infield and behind the plate. We got to play better outfield defense, and that got him, and it's gotten Shane a couple times too. And I mean, we were 3-3 in the 5th against Tech, and Shane's out there battling his tail off for us, and we do a couple things, and it gets away in a hurry, and it can in that environment. And that's something that just doesn't really happen on the West Coast as far as the big innings like that and the ball going over the fence that often and all that. So, and then Roman's won 2 Sundays in a row for us. So, yeah, we trust those guys. We need to play good around those 3 guys, and we need to do a good job behind them.
Obviously, in a midweek game, we know pitching changes because you get somebody that starts, and then you're
Right.
going to look at other guys for the bullpen, which I know you had a lot last night.
Yeah.
What are you seeing in some parts of the bullpen that can certainly step up when it comes to conference teams?
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row, we've kind of bullpenned those midweek games, and that's exactly what it is. Like, we need to figure out which of those guys we can trust to go to, on the weekend, right? And being able to go see 8 or 9 different arms. Excuse me. 8 or 9 different arms. Just give us an idea who's more comfortable, who's doing some of the things that we need, who's making the progress with some of the pieces that we've asked and are looking for from them to go be trusted on the weekend. Obviously, I think we made what's looking like a good decision in getting Jacob Gutierrez in the bullpen, where he's really good like one time through, and he's been solid for us nearly every time out. Probably left him out there a touch too long opening weekend and had to go to another guy, but now he's really closed the door. We need to see more guys out there pitching with the type of conviction and confidence that it takes to get it done in those leverage situations at the end of the game, and I hope that we're starting to see some guys emerge. Freshman Ethan Myers is certainly in that mix, and I think we'll have to probably nail that roll down a little bit as we go forward. And we've been using him at the beginning of midweek games just because we trust him, and if we were playing a 4th game, he'd probably be our 4th starter, but we don't have any of those coming up, so we need to figure his role out, and we need to get at least one of those left-handers straightened around. That's another piece. Our roster is way more left-handed this year, and none of those guys have really secured that kind of role yet. So we're hoping that that's the case. I thought Saul Bolivar did some things last night. I thought Peyton Pudens did some things last night, being able to come in and throw the slider a bunch. So I hope that we're narrowing that down a little bit and getting that figured out.
What are some things you know about Fullerton that like you say, they're capable, obviously quite capable and everything else. What are some areas against Fullerton? Not saying I don't want to tip anything here, but just what are some things that you need to be ready for against Fullerton?
Yeah, we need to be ready to handle the baseball and make them earn what they get. If you look on paper this year, they haven't put up a ton of numbers in terms of the power and extra base stuff. we need to make them earn their runs, right? And go hit 3 singles to beat us. And that is something that we've done an okay job of. And this is a pitching staff-wide thing for us more than it is for them. We need to execute better with 2 strikes and end some at-bats. Our pitching numbers with 2 strikes are not good right now, and we need to do a better job there. This isn't Fullerton against anybody, but that we're going to play the rest of the year. We need to go play clean defense and take care of the baseball. But they're not going to give us anything, and we need to make sure that in return we don't give them anything, and just make them earn it and go play baseball and see if we can get more hits and score more runs than them. That's if we can make it like that, we'll be in a good place. If we let some things get away from us and let the moment impact us, then they, just like anybody else, will give us a hard time.
Right. How much time do you spend on the conference teams? I mean, you play so much, and it's like, okay, they're here for 1 weekend and they're gone, but like that week, how much time are you spending on Fullerton?
Yeah.
Just really looking over where they are, what
Right.
they're doing.
I mean, it's my staff as more than I, honestly, a ton. They're probably putting in 6, 8, 10, 12 hours a piece in terms of their sections of the report and diving into tendencies and all like that. I don't ever want to feel like we weren't ready for something or we weren't prepared. So we're going to have every piece of information on their tendencies and what their guys do and all those sorts of things. When they go to the bullpen, we got to know exactly what we're going to get in a hurry, right, and be able to go to that. So, yeah, the amount of time that goes into that is super significant, and I don't feel like we can look at our players and tell them that we expect no stone to be left unturned by them in terms of their work and their preparation, and then our staff not go do the same thing.
Yeah, and obviously you get to conference, it means even more. I mean, obviously you still have your midweek games, which continue to tinker with your running roster and everything else. But now that you do get into conference play, every weekend, boom, 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 what changes? And maybe nothing changes because you want the consistency too.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think changes when your team does get into conference play?
Yeah, the answer hopefully is nothing. I think if anything, it's that we're going into the 4th week of a long 15-week season or 14-week, whatever it is, and hopefully we have some information now that we can pare things down a little bit and all that. But on my end, I don't know that anything changes. We're not going to go bullpen the game or anything like that, but we coach every game to win. It's just that you go in with what you have, and there's certain guys that aren't available, and on these conference weekends, everything is available, and we're going to do whatever we need to do from a roster standpoint to try to make that happen. But I don't approach it any differently, and I don't really want our guys to approach it any differently. We just make sure we're prepared and then go do it.
Yeah, and play the same team a couple times as opposed to once.
Yeah, and it's the same for them, right? It's just about going and giving ourselves 3 chances to win and not playing ourselves out of any of those early.
So I can't take my eyes off your hat. Explain the hat to me.
Really, I want a hat.
Everybody does. I hear a lot about these. So this actually was a sample, but our dugout club does like a special hat every year for donors of a certain level, and the upside down thing is popular right now, and nobody had done it. So the real one for the dugout club is like cream colored. It has a blue bill and it says baseball under it. This was my first sample, but everybody that sees them wants them. So join the dugout club.
Hey, at least the S's. You can go either way.
So, at the risk of repeating questions Ryan may have asked you already, what have you found to be the cause and effect between a clean inning or even a single run inning and a crooked number by your opponent?
Yeah. I think it's twofold. I think opening weekend we played poor defense. We've not played poor defense since. We had a miscue that was a big one last night on a double play ball that we got no outs out of, but we'd made like 1 infield error in 8 games going into last night. We made 1 last night. So our outfield defense has been inconsistent, substandard in my opinion. But the biggest thing has just been us throwing the baseball and you know, having the right guys out there and them pitching with the kind of tempo and mentality that you need to control the game instead of getting the game taken to them. I mean, we're giving up hits at a clip that's unsustainable, actually. So that's exciting. But just our guys that go out there and appear to believe in what they're doing and pitch with the kind of tempo and conviction that they need to have been fine. And some of the other guys haven't, and they get a little less convicted, especially with 2 strikes, where our numbers, like I was saying, are not good. Go out there and you try to do a little extra when it's 0-2, 1-2, right? And you know, instead of just throwing the same pitches you've been throwing in a location that's conducive to getting a miss, you muscle up a little bit and you hang it in the middle, and then you give up big, extra bases, and that's how big innings start to get away from you. You know, we're not walking a million guys, we're not giving up stolen bases, we're not doing any of those things. We're just giving up too many hits, and way too much of that damage is coming with 2 strikes. So that's been a big focus for us the last week, has been 2-strike execution and that kind of thing. And unfortunately, it wasn't better last night.
So my premise may be flawed on this in the limited exposure I've had to your team in your home games and looking at box scores in away games. But is there a concern that you haven't had a guy you can hand the ball to and say, I can count on this? It seems like there's been a wide variance of results.
Yeah. Jacob Gutierrez, I know what I'm getting right now,
Yeah.
and I was talking a minute ago about that role fitting him. We left him out there a touch too long opening weekend, which is the exact thing we're trying to not do. And that 4-game weekend just gets long, and you're playing a team that people may not know the name of, but that's really good. I think they're 9-3 now. And that can happen, right? So we had to go away from him in his 4th inning, which is, like I said, it's probably just that one too many for 2. He's lights out. 3 is probably fine, and that's probably where we need to cap that. Is there concern? Yeah, we need other guys to step forward. But I'm concerned about everything too, so I don't want to use the word concern and have it mean panic. I was saying earlier that I think that Peyton Pudens and Saul Bolivar showed some stuff last night that was encouraging. Ethan Myers, we need to pin down Ethan Myers' role a little bit. He was kind of that 4th starter for us, and we don't need 4 starters anymore. And I don't think we'll have the luxury of doing that on midweeks and letting him go. So we need to get him into a later game bullpen role that makes sense, or potentially a middle of game bullpen role where he's kind of the bridge guy to get us to Goody. He's thrown the ball pretty well every time we put him out there. So what we need to do is just pare that group down a little bit and figure out who we can go to and in what spots. Dante Jackson wiped out left-handers a year ago to the tune of like 140, and he's not doing that right now. We got to get that straightened around, because the left-handed piece is one that we've got the left-handed bullets now, and we don't have any of the guys really stepping forward yet. So that's something we need to make happen for sure.
All right, so Fullerton comes in. Your thoughts on what they present this weekend in terms of the challenge ahead of you?
They I was saying earlier that if anyone's judging teams right now based on their record, I think that's a pretty poor way to judge people through 12 games. And you look at who they've played; they haven't played anything close to a bad team. So if anybody thinks they're going to come in and not be a formidable opponent, I'd tell you they're probably crazy. They always take care of the baseball. They always throw a bunch of strikes. They're doing those things. I know the kid they plan to play at shortstop, who's a transfer from Long Beach, is hurt and hadn't been out there, so they've moved a couple of pieces around. The offensive numbers would tell you that they haven't done what they're capable of yet. But then they go on Sunday against Xavier, who's been a, like I said, top 50 or 60 RPI team several years in a row, and I think they put together 17 hits and scored a bunch of runs and got that game from them. So then they go play UCLA on Tuesday and out-hit them. They'll be just fine. We need to make sure that we just play baseball and make the game decided by who can sustain a quality level of baseball for 9 innings, not go do anything that's going to decide the game against us in the first half of the game, right? If we can just play and get into the game, I feel super confident that our offense will score enough runs to give us a chance to win. I think we've done that nearly every time out. It's just that too often we've gone and given up double digits, and you give up double digits, it's hard to beat anybody.
Fair to say tomorrow, little room for error. Their Friday starters had 3 quality starts in a row. Even his loss to Xavier was 3-0.
Yep.
What about the first guy?
He's been there for 3 years. He'll make us earn everything we get. You know, it's a left-hander, but he doesn't have big splits where where right-handers get him better. So, yeah, I think the margin for error will be slim every Friday in our league, and we need to make sure that we do the same thing. I mean, Ryan was pretty dominant for his first 2 outings out there, and he had us in a good baseball game in the 3rd or the 4th, wherever it was at Tech, and we made a huge defensive miscue in the outfield, and then it got away. And in that environment and those conditions at Texas Tech, you make anything, and with as hard as they hit the baseball, it can get away in a hurry. But I expect him to go give us a good chance and hopefully match their guy pitch for pitch and you know, give our offense a chance to get through the lineup a couple times and see what we can put together.
You know, it's twice you've mentioned that. Usually when you think about mediocre or just not up to snuff defense, you think infield, maybe behind the plate, but you don't usually think outfield.
No.
I don't want to use the word concern again, but how concerning is that it's the outfield that's sort of been leaky?
Frustrating because we're athletic out there, right? I mean, most games we're starting 3 guys that can go run 6'5", 6'6", and in some cases better. We need to improve our thought process between pitches out there, and we need to go attack the baseball when it's in the air and see some of that athleticism on display. We've played some balls really careful, and that doesn't work out there. The guys that are impact players on defense in the outfield just go attack the baseball and think it's theirs from the time that it goes in the air, and we need to play it like that. So concerning, I'm concerned with everything we're not doing well right now, and that's, you know, that's literally the only thing that I spend my time on, is trying to get us doing all things and all facets at the level that it takes to give ourselves a chance to win every day. So yeah, it's concerning. We need to. That's something I care a lot about. That we talk a lot about. That we emphasize in recruiting, and we haven't done it so far, and we need to.
So if we use the premise that you guys are not in the top echelon of the Big West yet, you have to earn it to get there. If you're not in that conversation yet, what in your definition is the difference between the top 4 teams and maybe the rest of the league right now?
Yeah, I think the thing to me about that group is twofold. They're running 3 starters out there on the weekend that they just feel like are going to win for them every time. I think if you look at Irvine and Santa Barbara, certainly, and Poly brings back their entire rotation, and you know, whoever you want to say, Hawaii and the teams that have been up there consistently, they're just running guys out there every weekend that they think are going to give them a chance, and not only give them a chance, that are going to win for them. The other piece is that those teams don't ever just go give a game away, and that's the piece that we've got to get past. We got to not go give a game away. Now we've, you know, going to Texas twice, we played in some offensive environments that are conducive to scores that you know, are different from games that are played out here at night and all that. But that's the 2 things for me. Just there's not the, you know, 12-1 or 15-4 or whatever. Like, those games just don't happen for them. We've made them happen both ways in some of those environments. You know, with the Long Beach and with Tech on Sunday. We've been on both ends of those. We've just been on the wrong end of too many of them.
And it's obvious that it's frustrating, but when you put 7 to 8 good innings together, but you give up 6 in 1 inning,
Mm-hmm.
you play a good baseball game except for the one. How do you best eliminate that? How does that go away?
Well, you have to play consistently on defense, but the thing that we will and are going to be able to do is we're going to treat that differently on the weekends, especially in conference where we just can't. We have to go to a guy. If we feel like it's getting away at all, you have to get another guy out there and get another guy out there again if necessary to shut it down and get ourselves back in the dugout. Right? We can't let a guy who's out there pitching without the required amount of conviction or moxie or whatever you want to call it that the guys that have consistent success do. We can't let that continue and turn into that 4, 5, 6 whatever spot, because those will lose you baseball games in our league in particular.
So what would you say about your teams overall, if you want to pinpoint anybody, go right ahead, your approach at the plate so far this year?
I think we've been consistently pretty good. Even in some of the games where we haven't done a ton, I thought our at-bats have been mostly fine. We've lost some games where, to good teams, I don't know if we've played anything close to a bad team yet. We've lost some games where all the advanced metric stuff says it'd be very unlikely that we could lose, some close ones. Think about, one of the Southern Indiana games. I think about the St. Mary's game, in terms of the way we were impacting the baseball in the box versus what they did. But baseball's a weird game, and sometimes it's just about hitting them in the right spots and the right situations and all that, right? But I've very rarely felt like we've gone and given at bats away and turned in bad at bats. We did it last night, the inning after the big inning, and I was super frustrated about that. We went up and just completely punted 2 at bats away in a row, and that was really disappointing. But for the most part, I think the way that we've controlled the batter's box, the way we've controlled the strike zone, and where that we've taken the kind of swings it takes to impact the baseball and hit the ball over and off the fence, which you need to be able to do in college baseball in 2026. I'm super encouraged about a lot of that. I'm super encouraged about some guys whose numbers don't show it yet, too, that are consistently having good at-bats. Nick Mascaro's hit 2 balls 110 in the last week that have both turned into outs. That's nearly impossible to do. Neither one of them on the ground. So the guys that are in the lineup consistently right now have been super consistent for us. We need to get Garrett Tunison, Devin Wilkes, Matt Dobson. We need to get those guys going a little bit. Those are 3 guys that haven't impacted the game a ton for us yet. That at the beginning of the year I'd have been nearly certain would. Need to get those guys going a little bit, and that's 2 guys that have never played Division I baseball before, and one that played a smaller role a year ago. That coming out of the spring inter-squad stuff was slated for one. We gotta get more out of those 3 guys, but I'm super convinced we will. We've played 12 games, 13 games out of 56 plus, so it's super early, and everybody's got to remember that there's such a piece of baseball that water has to find its level, and a lot of the randomness that's involved in baseball has to sort its way out.
2 more questions for me. One would be, if last year your first to the program was sort of like the first pancakes until you just threw that sucker away, where do you see this program right now in year 2? And as you look at the big picture, what do you like? What do you think still has to happen?
I like that. I feel like if you line our roster up with the teams that we're playing, and a scout or an observer or whoever had to pick, I don't think there'd be a bunch of easy decisions. I was saying earlier, I think we played one team for one game that's under 500 right now, and a bunch of them are not even close, to that mark. And we've played 500 baseball on the weekends against exclusively good teams. We have enough to go be super competitive with everybody we've played and everybody we will play. Our guys gotta share that sentiment. That's the biggest thing. That's the part of building a program that's so hard, and especially in baseball where it's so mental and so belief oriented and so about just going out there for a game that's going to be 300 or so pitches, right? And just continuing to play every pitch with the same level of focus, effort, energy, conviction, all those things. Like, that's what baseball is. That's why I like it, and that's why I hate it. It's about getting young people that haven't been a part of a program at this level that's won to go out there for that amount of time and that number of pitches and approach it consistently, and not let the other team or the score or the crowd or the wind or anything else that's going on impact what they're trying to do. And if you look at some of our guys that have taken some significant steps forward, that's what they're doing. Their level of, we talk about trust all the time. Evan Cloyd's trust level right now is just off the charts for himself and for us in the dugout, for me, Coach Montgomery, the guys that are working through, that stuff with him. Like, he just at the end of last spring totally bought into a slight adjustment with the swing. And now, I mean, him going into his at-bats, like when we talk through what the plan is and all that, like, he treats me like I'm telling him the gospel. And that's not because I'm always right. Trust me, I'm not. But he just believes it and goes up there and doesn't let anything cloud what he's trying to do. And the results are speaking for themselves right now.
So yeah, I have a last question, but you just mentioned Cloyd, and I have to ask, because maybe I'm just insane. It looks like he crouches more at the plate this year, almost like a Pete Rose stance that I didn't see last year. Is that close to being?
Sammy Sosa was the comp that I
Okay.
tried to give him when we were going over some stuff. Yeah, and it's I don't get too far into it, but it's less about it appears crouched. Its posture is what I would call it,
Right, yeah.
We were just trying to give him a swing, and the swing itself is actually really similar, but his weight distribution and his posture, just allowing him to get the ball in the air to the pull side a little bit more, which is something that, he spent 3 years at Division I baseball having a harder time doing. He's able, I mean, you come watch him take BP right now, and it's like home run derby, and it's not because he's just trying to do that all the time. It's his swing is in a place right now where when he catches the ball out in front of home plate, it just goes in the air to the pull side, and he hits the ball so hard that nearly every time he gets it in the air to the pull side, it's a double or a homer, and that's what he's doing right now. Will he keep that up? He's certainly capable, because he's just being so disciplined and so committed up there right now that and so bought in that those are the results he's getting. I'm happy for him, man.
All right. So it makes sense now. Last question, and my apologies if I'm wrong on this. I haven't seen Durkin, the local kid. Is he A, healthy? Is he B, just not earning his place on the depth chart? What's going on with him right now?
I think both are factors. He's working his way back to health and throwing consistently in inter squads, and he got in one midweek game and threw to a couple hitters. His stuff is not 100% back to what it was yet, and he just hadn't had the opportunities yet because he missed the entire fall and part of the spring to go out there in those inter squads and earn opportunities during the week. So I think the answer to your question is probably both. What I will tell you is that Brady Durkin's makeup, his toughness, his level of work that he consistently puts in will make him a factor in this program at some point, and that could be soon. There will be opportunities coming for him in the near future. He was both not all the way ready when we got started this spring, and as a result of that, put himself behind some other guys. You can't just have him show up and jump ahead of a bunch of guys that have been there. So I'm excited about Brady. I know he's the right person, and if we can get him totally right physically and get him some consistent opportunities, I'm certain that he'll impact us in a positive way. And quite frankly, despite the fact that he's thrown, I think, 2/3 of an inning, he is impacting us in a positive way because he's the right guy you want.
Good.
Thank you,
Okay.
Coach.